Good day, ladies and gentlemen. In this video, we're going to work through some examples illustrating how to apply Section 6A to given information. These are basic examples just for you to be able to grasp the principles. And if once you've gone through the video, you do have questions on them, please post on the forum, on the discussion forum, and we will address them. Okay, so example one, it's the same scenario. Then there's a couple of questions that are linked to the scenario, based on the scenario. It says A, the taxpayer is a main member of Healthy Life Medical Aid Scheme for the entire year of assessment. His wife, their 2 kids, and his mother are listed as dependents. A couple of important information that is relevant for Section 6A here. If a person is the main member of a medical aid scheme, that also means they are the payer. They are the people who are paying the contributions. And we've told you here they are a main member for the entire year of assessment. So that would mean you're looking at a full 12-month period. You must always check that with Section 6A because you use a rate per month. And then you have the wife, 2 children, and a mother who are listed as dependents on the medical aid scheme. So that is also important to take note of. You basically have 4 dependents, but remember the rate is different for the first dependent compared to the other dependents. So the first question is then, how much can A claim as a Section 6A rebate? He is the person paying the contribution, so he is entitled to claim the Section 6A rebate, and the amount will be based on 319 for himself, plus 319 for the first dependent being his wife, plus 215 rands for each of the extra dependents being his 2 children and his mom. Please make sure you show these calculations in your workings because you do get a mark for using the right rate because the rate does change. Multiply by 12 months because that's the entire period that he was a member of the medical aid scheme for. So the total claim for Section 6A will be 15,396. Right, then the second question is, can A's wife claim any Section 6A rebate? What do you think the answer is there? The answer is no, because she did not pay the medical aid contributions. So with Section 6A, the person who can claim the rebates is the person who is paying the medical aid contributions. The only exception to that is the scenario mentioned where the employer is paying on behalf of an employee and it's coming into the employee's gross income as a fringe benefit. Then the employee is deemed to have made the payment and then they can claim Section 6A. So always be on the lookout who's actually paying the contributions to the medical aid scheme because that's the person who can claim Section 6A. Number 3 says, if A's mother dies on 31 December 2020, how would that affect A's Section 6A rebate for the 2021 year of assessment? So if the mom passes away, that means she would have been a member of the medical aid scheme for only 10 months if she passes away on the 31st of December 2020. So for this specific dependent, we would then have to use a different number of months in working out the rebate. The other part of the calculation will stay the same. So A can claim 319 for himself, 319 for his wife, 215 for the first child, 215 for the second child, times 12 months. Plus for the mom, now we are only claiming for 10 months. So it will reduce his Section 6A claim. It goes down to 14,966. So always be on the lookout. There could be new dependents being added on the medical aid fund, or there could be people passing away, and then you'd have to then use the correct number of months that they were members of or dependents on the medical aid scheme. The last one is an interesting one. It says, what would happen if his mother was not a dependent on the HLMA, but A was still responsible for paying her medical aid at another scheme, for example, GEMS? Can A claim a Section 6A rebate for her? So this is the situation where the taxpayer who's paying the contributions is actually paying it on behalf of somebody who's a member of another medical aid scheme. So it's not on behalf of a dependent on the same medical aid scheme as the taxpayer. So you've got 2 different medical aid schemes. So A is a member of HLMA, the mom is a member of GEMS, but A is paying the contributions for GEMS. Who gets to claim Section 6A? Is it the mom or is it A? And here, go back to the principle. Section 6A is claimed by the person paying the contribution. So in this case, A would still be able to claim the Section 6A contribution on behalf of his mom as if she were a dependent. And this goes back to the definition of dependent, because it does say if you find that the taxpayer is responsible for family care and support for another individual, that individual is then treated as a dependent for purposes of Section 6A and Section 6B. So in this situation, A would be in the same position as he was in the first example, where he can claim 319 for himself and his wife being the first dependent, plus 215 for his 2 children, plus 215 for his mom for the full 12 months. Why is he claiming for the mom? A, he's the person paying the contribution on her behalf, and B, the mom would be considered to be a dependent in terms of the legislation if A is responsible for family care and support for his mom. Okay, example 2 is a bit more of a practical one. We've got an income tax certificate that a taxpayer would receive from a medical aid scheme. The income tax certificate would then say, for this year of assessment, these are the contributions that the taxpayer has made to the medical aid scheme. It also gives extra information in terms of claims that the taxpayer submitted to the medical aid scheme, which were rejected. As we all know, they do like to do that, where you've maybe gone to the dentist and paid fees to the dentist, and now you're trying to claim back, and they say, sorry, your plan that you're on doesn't cover dentistry, so we're not reimbursing you for that. So we see that this taxpayer had an amount of 838 rands in that respect. That will be relevant for Section 6B, because that is actually considered to be qualifying medical expenses. So we look at that when we do Section 6B. And then we have number of members that are on the scheme. So we've got main members and dependents here. This is typically how the medical aid would give the information. For each month of the year of assessment, they will tell you how many people were actually on the scheme. And this would be the main member plus all their dependents. So if you see 4 here, it means there's 1 main member plus 3 dependents that were on the scheme. Sorry, the example deals with 2020, but we'll pretend that it's actually the 2021 year of assessment. So with this given information, how would you then work out the Section 6A rebates that the taxpayer is able to claim? Starting with the dependents. So we know that for himself, the taxpayer can claim 319. And then you'd have to check the months. How many months was this person a member of the medical aid scheme? We see that according to the certificate, it ends in November 2019. The rest of the year, it says NA. So presumably then this person stopped being a member of the scheme in November 2019. So they will be able to claim Section 6A in respect of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months. So it will be 319 times 9 for themselves, and that gives you 2871. Then for the first dependent, remember we have 3 dependents here, it will be 319 again times 9, and that's 2871. We've got 2 dependents remaining. The dependent after the first dependent gets 215, so he can claim 215 for the second dependent, and 215 for the third dependent for 9 months. So in total then for the second and third dependent, he can claim 3870. Right, so that's how you would work that out. And the total then that the taxpayer can claim would be 9,612 rands. So if you were doing a tax return for a taxpayer, this is typically how you would receive the information instead of the written format that we usually give it to you in the tests and exams. It's just important to remember that the first dependent uses the same rate as the main member who's paying the contributions, and then all the other dependents would use 215 rands per month. And that's the end of this video. If you have any questions on the examples that we covered, please do post and we will address your questions on the discussion forum. Thank you.